Is there a dark spirit from ancient times, an ancient god, an entity that is right now at work to transform America? If so, who, what? And when did he come to these shores? And what is his end game? This is Jonathan Cahn. The return of the gods is the revealing of all these things, the ancient spirits that have returned to our world. In the last message, I spoke of the Dark Trinity and the mystery of the returning spirits or entities or gods. The ancient warning that any civilization, culture, nation, people that has been delivered of these things by God, by the gospel, if it turns away from God, these spirits are coming back. They'll return. Now, could we identify which ones? We shared how in the ancient Israel, when it turned away from God, three spirits came back in particular. And the first one, I call it the Dark Trinity. The first of the Dark Trinity is called the Possessor. Who is the Possessor? In Hebrew, his name means literally the master, the owner, and the Lord. In Hebrew, the word is Baal. We know him, we translate that as Baal. Baal means the possessor. He was the chief god of the Canaanites that surrounded Israel. The god of fertility, of prosperity. He's the god of thunder and rain, lightning. He was the god or the spirit that turned Israel away from God. He was the anti-God, the substitute God, the instead of God, the falling away God, the apostasy God, to turn a nation that had known God into a pagan nation, paganization. And that is what he did to Israel. Later on, he'd be merged with the god Zeus. Now, America was actually formed at its inception after the pattern of ancient Israel. And so as America turns away from God, and you can put this in a larger picture to Western civilization and then the world, if America turns away from God, then the spirit that came into ancient Israel will come into America. And so it did. And this again applies to every nation of Western civilization because it inherited the legacy of Israel. And so it begins in the 1960s. In the 1960s, early 60s, America begins opening up the door. It begins removing God. Now, in ancient times, Baal sought to drive God out of every part of culture. And so as the Spirit comes into America, the doors open, it now seeks to drive God out of every part of American culture. You already know the Spirit. You can sense the Spirit in the culture. It's a spirit that seeks to remove God from the schools, remove God from entertainment, remove God from government, remove God from television, remove God from every realm of culture of the public, from the public square. And so what happened with ancient Israel, this spirit was at war with God and caused the nation to be at war with God. So it has caused America now to be at war with God. It started subtly at first, but now we're literally at war with God. And this affects each of you because that's a dangerous place to be. This is what The Return of the Gods, my latest book, reveals in detail. It's everywhere, wherever there are books, for you and for those in your life who need to know. And this is where we're going to go, to the next mystery. What has taken over America? It's going to be called The Great Amnesia. Hit subscribe so you don't miss it. This is Jonathan Cahn. I'll see you next time with The Great Amnesia.